everyone. I wanted to take a few minutes today and answer a few questions that I've been getting over the last week and a half. Some of you have been asking some questions about, what my thoughts are on how things are going and what's taking place within this whole COVID-19 situation, as well as 5G and some health stuff that's coming up for some of you. So I just wanted to take a few minutes and talk about all of this. So if you bear with me, I'm going to cover as much as I can in this video. I want to try and keep it short and not go too long with it. So the first question that I had gotten was how the coronavirus is interfacing with our soul blueprint or our soul plan. And so for those of you that have heard me talk about soul plans or soul blueprinting, you know that the soul chooses its exit point to leave the earth, and we are in 4D right now, very strongly in 4D energy, which is obvious from the rainbow frequencies that we have in the sky when you're taking pictures of the sun, or even if you're just looking at the sun, you can see the rays coming down because everything is now so strong and our third eyes are opening so much. And in the clouds, when the sun is shining through the clouds, it makes rainbows in the clouds. And so we're seeing a lot of rainbow light, and that's indicative of 4D or fourth dimension, and the density felt in fourth dimension, okay? And why that's important is because 4D or the fourth dimension is the rainbow bridge where souls have an opportunity to exit the third dimensional earth plane and move into fifth dimension and transition to the other side. Very, very important. So many of the souls, many of the humans that are transiting at this time through COVID-19 are souls who have chosen not to be here at this time. They've either completed their work on the planet, they've completed their soul work, or maybe they've just decided that they've had enough and we're ready to move on to something else. Sometimes the soul, the human, is not living out the soul agreement or the soul blueprint in the way that the soul had created the experience, and the soul might want to just leave and you know go on to something else in order to ascend, right? But the one thing that we have to be aware of is that no matter how people are choosing to do their evolution, their spiritual evolution, their ascension process, uh, it's going to be done exactly how the soul is requiring it to be done, no matter what. So if someone is choosing to depart, there's no worry or fear that they're not going to ascend, because everybody is going to ascend. It's just that each human is going to do it on their own time and in their own way. Okay, so I just wanted to make that clear, because I know some of you had asked me how we were being affected at the soul level. So I hope that information helps and resonates with you guys. And so the next thing that I wanted to talk about, which I've been getting a lot of questions on lately, is 5G. Okay, and so I have a very different perspective on 5G based on my higher realm. And so one of the things that I've been aware of for myself is that I don't hold 5G in my personal awareness. And it's mostly because from my personal perspective, 5G is a frequency, just like the frequency of our body. And so if we think about the earth having a frequency and our bodies having a frequency, and timelines being bandwidth frequencies, then we know that 5G is also a bandwidth frequency. And so if I'm thinking about 5G, it it doesn't feel bad or fearful in my body, and I always use my body as a gauge to tell me whether something is good for me or something is bad for me. Um, and so I don't see it as something that I need to fear. Um, and probably the reason for that is because I've already, had my two rounds with cancer, although I caught it very early. And then I had another round in October of 2017 with physically healing myself without any medical intervention, a Bartholin cyst that I had for probably about 3.5, 4 years. And so I don't really hold that fear of 5G because having been through these other things, I've come to really understand how our body is so capable of taking care of itself and doing what it needs to do in order to um, level up so that whatever is in our field that is not good for us can then be transmutated or transmuted to, out of our body, and we're not really feeding into the frequency bandwidths, creating a distortion within our physical body. And so what this would look like is you're choosing what I always talk about as timeline potentials, right? So it would look like this on one timeline. We could be holding the awareness of 5G, and in having the awareness of 5G, we might feed into the fear that is being held on a collective level by so many people on the planet, as they are all wondering how 5G is going to affect them and affect their body and affect their health. And that's very valid, okay, in many, many ways. And then as we hold the fear of 5G, we begin to focus on that fear and focus on 5G in a deeper way. And now we're putting more of our intention and more of our focus into 5G, and the fear that we are generating is then getting stronger because it's very focused, and it becomes focused intention. And that intention then allows us to begin to run scenarios of what the outcome in our physical body could be based on the 5G that we are all going to be participating in through our electronic technology. And so that is a very real timeline if you are focusing on the fear of 5G and feeling that 5G is bad for us. I've heard things that it affects the lungs, and oh my God, I could have lung disease, I could develop cancer, I could develop COPD, I could develop chronic bronchitis, I might develop asthma, right? So all of these become very real because we're tuning into that timeline potential. And that timeline potential is holding the fear. And we're amplifying that fear with our consciousness because that's where we're placing it. And on the other hand, if we're choosing the other timeline potential, because everything is a potential, right? It is a potential until we actually choose to engage in it. And then when we choose to engage in that timeline reality, we anchor into it, and that's what we're running in our day-to-day reality. So on the other hand, the other timeline that I am choosing to run is the timeline where I am not seeing 5G as a problem because my higher realm said it's only a problem if you perceive it to be a problem. And so it is frequency, like we hold frequency, and we have the ability to navigate that frequency without it interfering or interacting in our field in a negative way. If we are perceiving that we are capable, our bodies are capable of uh, navigating that frequency, or maybe even integrating it in some way and using it for our benefit. Who knows, right? Where we can then turn that around and not feel any fear towards that 5G, because we're aware that it exists, but it's not our focus. And we're not sitting here thinking about it every day. And I don't think about, gee, 5G must be in my reality somewhere, and it's got to be floating in the air somewhere for me to be bringing in and for me to feel. That's not even a thought for me. And unless somebody asks me a question about 5G, I don't even think about it, because I don't perceive it as a threat to my physical body. Okay, because I perceive everything in our reality as energy. So if everything in our reality is energy, then 5G is energy, and 5G can be utilized in a way that could be maybe more efficient. So if I continue to raise my vibration and I step into higher timelines, then my awareness is that 5G certainly will not be a problem for me. And that's what my higher realm says, right? My team always says that, your perception is where your reality is. So if you're perceiving it to be a problem, then that's what's going to end up happening. So this brings me into the next question, which has to do with timelines and choosing timeline potentials. And so, you know, I could use the example of money, because a lot of people are struggling with money right now. And so that would look something like this. So if money exists in your reality and you've had it before, and then you find all of a sudden you're not having it for whatever reason, you can look at it from the perspective of maybe awareness that you hold of money. Money in that awareness is residing on a very high timeline energetically. So the energetic currency, the vibrational currency that you give money is very, very high, right? And so the times that you've had money in your life, your your own personal vibration, your frequency has been very high, and it actually matched that frequency of money. But because our vibrations are constantly shifting and constantly moving, and we're not staying stuck in one frequency or one vibration, because that's not how it works, we're always floating in and out. And so if we're floating in and out, when something is maybe challenging us in our day-to-day reality, and we're struggling with some thoughts that we have that might be lower in nature, then it might take us out of our game. It might sidetrack us into feeling sad, or lack, or fear, or something like that. And then that potential to create that abundance that you desire becomes lowered, because your vibrational currency is being focused in a different direction, and it's no longer on that higher timeline that matches the vibration where money is. So this is really important, because when we're navigating our reality, we're always in a state of flux. We're never staying in one place, right? There is no such thing as just staying in 5D, unless you're high enough that you're 5D 60 or 5D 7D, and then you're vacillating between fifth dimension, sixth dimension, seventh dimension, as opposed to third dimension, fourth dimension, fifth dimension, right? So you can get into fifth dimension and stay in a higher consciousness frequency and then play in the upper fields. But it's very rare that anybody is really in one frequency, in the higher frequencies only, because let's face it, life has a lot of challenges to it, and it requires that we are constantly working with our personal frequency to manage ourselves in such a way that we start to work through whatever is presenting to us in our reality as a conscious observer, and being aware enough to be able to navigate those times where we have to adjust from being reactive and go into being responsive. so that we can respond in kind and not allow ourselves to be triggered. Once you're doing that enough, that brings you into divine neutrality where you just don't find yourself triggered anymore, right? But if we are wanting that abundance, then we have to be conscious, and we have to see that we've placed money on such a high frequency that it means a lot to us. And now, because we're in a lower state of being, because our energy might be a little more depleted, because we might be feeling a little bit more fear, because we might be feeling sadness or grief or frustration or anger, those things don't match the frequency that money's on. Money's on a very high vibration. So if we want to match money, we have to step out of the fear, the grief, the anger, the frustration, and we have to work on bringing our vibration up. This is how it works, right? It's really simple, but it's really at times challenging to be able to do this, because life does not sit still, and it does not afford us an opportunity to not do our work. We're in a place where we are constantly having to navigate our reality, right? Nothing stands still. But being a conscious observer of how everything is transacting or how everything is playing out for us is super, super important. So being a conscious observer, seeing your timeline potentials, choosing the right timeline, so important, because we want to stay on the timelines that facilitate our soul moving forward, right? Our purpose in life, you've heard the term purpose driven, right? Focusing on that purpose, letting it bring us forward, and just letting go of anything that's going to sidetrack us. So if something comes in your life or someone comes in your life and they are just not really a fit for where you're going or what you're doing, then unfortunately for that situation or that person, you have to look at that and say, this is just not for me at this time, and I need to keep going on my path and keep moving forward. Because when we stop for something or someone that is not in alignment with what we're desiring or where we're going, we're in a state of lack, because we need to stop and we need to check something out for some reason. And that will take us on a detour, and that detour then will take us on a rocky road, and that rocky road may take us off our path longer than we had intended. So really check into those things that are popping up for you to see, is this a fit for me? Is this right for me? Does this feel right for me now? Is this job offer that I'm receiving a better job offer than where I am at this moment? And again, everything has its ability to show you whether it's a fit for you or not, right? Because if you have to force something or you have to really work at something, then it's showing you it's not meant for you. When things come to us easily and they flow easily, that's when something is meant for you. So that this is really important to have an awareness of, right? Which is why I'm always talking about timelines and checking into those timelines. It's super, super important to really pay attention to the timeline potentials that are playing out, so you can always choose the right one. Okay. And so the last thing I want to talk about is the fact that so I know that a lot of you have watched my post on the dolphin beings, and so I've been working with a lot lately with the star beings, with our star friends. And ever since I was a little girl, they've told me they don't really like to be called uh, extraterrestrials or aliens. That doesn't really, and that could be my interpretation, because everything is interpretation, but they're not loving of that. They like when I call them star friends or star family, so that's what I'm going to call them, or star beings. So I work a lot with the star beings, and I've been working with many different types of star beings. And I had the Galactic Federation pop in the other day to talk about everything that was taking place on the planet and how we were moving forward and how everything is falling into place the way it needs to be. And we have to use discernment and just trust our process and just know that we are shifting in the right direction. And that's so obvious, because this morning I woke up again to a timeline shift, and I heard myself waking up saying, oh, timelines have shifted. We're about to move forward again. There's going to be another something unfolding that's going to be good. So we have to just stay in a place of trust and have faith, right? Two very high vibrational words, right? We don't have hope. It's low vibration. We want to have faith and we want to have trust, right? To move forward, that we're going to move forward in the ways that we need to move forward. But what's happening right now as all of this is coming up and we're going through these timeline shifts, we're in a process of alchemizing the Akash or integrating the Akash, right? It's when we're taking all of those timeline potentials and we're kind of like folding them in, marrying them into our current time reality where we are now. And the reason that that's important is because whatever's coming up for our past, we have to just allow it. We have to embrace it. We have to love it and just let it come in. Right. And I know many of you are feeling some sadness and you're experiencing some memories of the past coming up, and maybe it's confusing because there's stuff you haven't thought of in a very, very long time, but that's a timeline that's coming up and it just wants to come up and kind of whoosh right through our field and then go away. But sometimes we get hung up on wanting to know what's in that timeline. What was that memory? Was it good? Do I need it? Should I be holding on? It came up for a reason. No, it came up for the reason to clear. Let it go. Who cares, right? We don't need to look at it. It was in the past. The past is the past and it can't be the future. It can't be now. So just let it go. So we don't need it. It needs to move on. And that's what's happening. All of these timelines are coming up to present. And some of you are having situations where you're waking up with lots and lots of phlegm, and the phlegm carries deep programming out of the body. Accept it, embrace it. Those of you that are feeling a little bit of nausea, if you're feeling nausea, it's programming coming up out of the body. Programs, outdated belief systems, limiting beliefs. Those are all things that are coming up now. Any areas of your life where you've told yourself you weren't deserving or you weren't good enough, all coming out of the body. Deep wounding, deep from childhood coming up. I had all kinds of stuff coming up last night from early childhood. So this is stuff that's happening, right? If you're having vertigo is that you are not in the same frequency as the vibration of the earth, the frequency of the earth, and your field is trying to catch up. You're a little off. You're going to feel a little bit dizzy, a little bit woozy. It's okay. The minute you say to yourself, boy, I'm okay. I'm trying to catch up with all of this, because there's a lot of high frequency, super duper high frequency energy coming into the earth right now. And I just have to love myself through. In every moment, I am doing the best job that I can, navigating. And in every moment, I'm going to love myself that much more. And just let yourself go through whatever you're going through. Many of you are having a lot of back pain. Back pain now, it's all financial. We're in a financial crisis, right? And there will be relief for that financial crisis. But until you get that money in your hand, you might be feeling it in your back. Every time that back pain comes up, just go, oh my gosh, I need to love myself more because it's all going to be okay, right? That's fear coming up. The back pain is fear coming up. Back is structure. It's financial. It's your stability. It's sometimes supporting and carrying others on your back, right? So we have to be aware of all of this and allow ourselves to do our very best job possible that we can in navigating all of this energy right now and not letting it get the best of us. So important to just be in the awareness of being a conscious observer and allowing it all to present, right? Whatever you're feeling, headaches, your crown expansion, you're going into state of expansion, it's all here for you. For those of you who are new to my channel, please watch my other videos. I give a lot of support work. I do a lot of free work, lots of free stuff. Go to my Instagram account. That's where it's easy to find all of the information you're looking for, all of the synchronistic numbers, right? The 1111 awakening code, and then all of our 3-digit fund numbers, 111, 222, 333. I have it all there. We're seeing 144 popping up. I am seeing that every place I look. That is Christ consciousness, the Christed timelines, avatar consciousness. We have the freedom codes. We have the love codes right now. We have so much energy flying into the earth, flying into our bodies, coming in from the great central sun. It's incredible. And you're not going to see any of it with your physical eyes because it's all high frequency light. So we are feeling it though. We are feeling all of it. And if you go back to my posts, creating illness, navigating your energy body, I think those are really chock full of information, right? So you get a lot of stuff there. So in my ability to be able to bring this through video, through writing, when I'm able to, I will do that for you. Much of the time I am spent anchoring the light with my physical body, so I'm trying not to really tune in too much to Facebook and social media because I'm really trying to be present for what is transpiring and unfolding on the earth plane as we're going to a very, very high vibrational state right now. We are coming out of the Iron Ages into the Golden Ages, the Age of Aquarius. And so I'm very, very excited about that. I'm very excited to see where we are going, where the United States is going as a country. I feel very, very optimistic. The energy is so high at this point. Just be present. See everything unfolding. See the golden light surrounding the earth, surrounding all of us, right? So if you're doing meditations, see the earth surrounded in golden light and humanity surrounded in golden light. That would be amazing because we're in that golden age era, the Christed timeline, the crystalline light codes, the crystalline light frequency. So this is really where the work is. And the more we can be present and be a conscious observer and know that we are a divine co-creator with our universe, the better we'll do at navigating our present moment, right? Staying present, that's key. It's everything. So I think that's all I wanted to say. To those of you that have been donating, that really appreciate the work, I just want to thank you so much because I really appreciate the donations. To those of you having sessions and taking the classes and everything else, it keeps me going so that I could bring you all of this information and do a lot of this work for you that that I can share, at no cost, which I really like to do, and I enjoy being able to support humanity with its unfolding coming into this next age of awareness. So many people waking up on the earth right now. We are in the greatest times of our life. We are in the great awakening, the great ascension, whatever you want to call it, right? It doesn't matter. Our spiritual evolution, it's all the same, and we are all one. And so just hang in there. It's going to be okay. Everything is going to work out the way we need it to work out. It's already happening. I'm already seeing it. I'm feeling it. And I just want you to just stay present, be in the moment, and allow what needs to unfold in your life unfold. And just know that everything is happening as it should, and you're right where you need to be, right here, right now. We're all in it together. Nobody is getting left behind. We're all doing it. All right. It's so important for you to know that we are all doing it. I'm here with you. I am not leaving you. And so I love you. Have an amazing day and be present for yourself and show up in every way possible. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.